Okay, so in the last class we have described the indistinguishability principle of identical particles and the consequences, and finally we considered an example in which two particles and two states alpha and beta. So in that example we can have two wave functions, psi12 and psi21. So these are the two solutions if you are interchanging the particles between two states. Then according to the superposition principle of quantum theory, their linear combination can be also taken as the solution of the system. So we take a plus combination and a minus combination with a normalization factor 1 by root 2. And later we identified that plus combination corresponding to the symmetric wave function, because when you interchange the particles 1 and 2, no change happens for that combination, plus combination. So that is a symmetric wave function. And in the minus superposition, if you interchange the particle, a negative sign comes, so that is a antisymmetric wave function. So next we are going to show that only these two combinations are possible due to the indistinguishability principle. For that, we consider an operator P12, which is known as the exchange operator. It actually exchange particles 1 and 2, interchanges. Okay, so this particle 1 and particle 2 are mutually interchanged under the operation of P12. That is the role of P12. Okay, then we can say that write P12 acting on psi of 1, 2. What is the result? Result will be 2 and 1 will be interchanged. So you get psi of 2, 1. That is the role of P12. Simply interchange 1 and 2. So wave function becomes psi 2, 1. I think that is clear. Okay. Now let P12 once more act. So P12 again act on this equation. So same, psi12 is same. So P12 acting 2 times. So what is the result? That is psi of 1, 2. Again it gets interchanged. Okay, so this one you can write it as P12 followed by another P12 is P12 square. Okay, so what is P12 square? It is, see, psi12 is same. Okay, so P12, this is P12 square. Okay, this is P12 square. So what is P12 square? This, it does nothing. So it is a involution operator. Okay, or it is one operator. So we can call P12 as involution, which we have already learned earlier, involution operator. And you can see that this is the P12 is involution operator is Hermitian and as well as unitary. Okay, it is a Hermitian operator, also it is a unitary operator. And we know that P12 is it a continuous operator or a discrete operator?
Discrete.
Is it continuous or discrete transformation? P12.
Discrete transformation.
Please answer.
Discrete.
It is a
Discrete
discrete
transformation.
transformation. Discrete. We have already studied several examples for discrete transformation. So it is a discrete transformation. Okay. So according to the principle of indistinguishability, so P12 acts 2 times or 1 time, no change happens to the system. System remains invariant. So that means, see, under the action of P12, what happens to the Hamiltonian? Hamiltonian becomes invariant due to the principle of indistinguishability. No change for the system. We have exchanged the particles, but no change for the system. That means Hamiltonian remains invariant. Okay. Under exchange transformation or interchange exchange transformation. Why it is invariant? Due to the principle of indistinguishability. Due to principle of indistinguishability. Okay. So we can say that this P12 should commute with the what? Commute with the, see, it is a constant of motion. P12 operation, it commutes with the Hamiltonian equal to 0, because during the motion, even if you exchange the particles, nothing happens to the system. So P12 is a constant of motion. This exchange does not affect the system. System remains invariant. So that means that is a constant of motion. Constant of motion should commute with the Hamiltonian. Okay. So now we can apply another property. If they are commuting operators, they have what they have in common. These two are commuting. So commuting operators will have common
Simultaneous.
common
Eigenvectors.
common eigenvectors. Okay. So commuting operators will have common eigenvectors. So we can say that the eigenvectors of P12 are same as eigenvectors of H. So eigenvectors are common. Okay. Now from this equation, P12 square equal to 1. So what is P12? Take the root of square root on both sides. So P12 is the eigenvalues of P12 are, what are the eigenvalues of P12?
Plus or minus 1.
Eh?
Plus or minus 1.
Plus or minus 1. Since P12 square equal to 1, the eigenvalues of P12 are plus 1 and minus 1. Okay. So only two eigenvalues, two child. Okay. So correspondingly, how many eigenvectors will be there? How many eigenvectors will be there corresponding to these eigenvalues? There are only corresponding to each eigenvalue, there should be an eigenvector. So we have two different eigenvalues, plus 1 and minus 1. Correspondingly, we have two
Two eigenvectors.
eigenvectors. Okay. So correspondingly, we have corresponding to this one, +1 and -1, we have two eigenvectors. So let us call them as psi plus and psi minus. Okay. Let us call these eigenvectors as psi12, psi12, but one is plus and another is minus. Psi plus and psi minus are the eigenvectors corresponding to the two eigenvalues. So our argument is clear. Only two possible states are these two. No other states are possible. So, but that is what we said. One symmetric and another antisymmetric combinations are only possible in the case of a two particle system with the two possible states. So let they are psi plus and psi minus. So let P12 acts on psi plus 1, 2. Okay. What is the result? When P12 acts on psi plus 1, 2, result is psi plus 2, 1. Okay. Okay. Which is same as if you take the psi plus as psi s, this psi plus is corresponding to psi s, symmetric wave function, then you can write this one as psi plus 1, 2 itself. Or you can write a plus 1 into psi plus 1, 2. Similarly, when P12 acts on psi minus 1, 2, what is the result? Psi minus 2, 1. Okay, psi minus 2, 1, which is equal to -1, or I put a minus sign only, then psi minus 1, 2. So -1 into psi minus 1, 2. So now you can compare these results with our earlier psi s and psi a. See, these are our earlier results. Psi s, this one, psi a, this one. So these two are, you can see that these two satisfies with these our above equations. So we can say that comparing these results, so you can write that psi plus 1, 2, you can call it as psi s 1, 2, which is nothing but 1 by root 2 into psi of 1, 2 plus here also psi of 2, 1, but psi of 2, 1 you can write it as P12 acting on psi of 1, 2. Is that clear? Here it was psi 1, 2
Yes,
plus
sir.
psi 2, 1, but psi 2, 1 you can write it as P of P12 acting on psi 1, 2. So this one you can write it as 1 by root 2 into 1 plus P12 into psi of, now psi of 1, 2 is common, you can take to the outside, psi 1, 2. Okay. Similarly, you can write psi minus or psi a, you can identify as psi minus. So you can write, I think you have seen this, psi 1 by root 2 psi 1, 2 plus P12 psi 1, 2. So this psi 1, 2 you can take to the outside. So you can write 1 by root 2 1 plus P12 psi 1, 2. So psi s you can write in this way. Similarly, psi A you can write it as psi minus 1, 2. You can identify it as psi antisymmetric 1, 2, which is nothing but 1 by root 2. Similarly, you can write 1 minus P12, then psi of 1, 2. Okay. So these are the psi A and psi S. You can identify as the psi minus and psi plus. So psi plus is psi S and psi minus is psi A. And they can be written like this. Only two possible states are, these two combinations are only allowed. Okay. Now, so this exchange operation or interchange operation does not affect the system, so that symmetry, that is a symmetry operation. Does not affect means no change, means that is a symmetry operation. Okay. So this P12 or exchange particles, exchange, that is known as exchange symmetry. If you exchange the particle, no change, symmetry. Symmetry is there. So symmetry is there. That means you can call that operation as exchange symmetry. Okay. So that symmetry, so you can call it as exchange symmetry. Like reflection symmetry, rotation symmetry. This is exchange symmetry. You exchange the two particles. So system is in symmetry state. So that is exchange symmetry. And this symmetry is a constant of motion. Symmetry is a constant of motion. Exchange symmetry is a constant of motion. Even if you, during the motion, if you exchange the particles, symmetry exists. Okay. That means if the system is in a particular state during motion or a symmetric state, it will continue to be in symmetric state after some time or at any time. All the time, system continues to be in the symmetry state. I think the idea is clear. Now this discussion can be generalized into a useful result. That is, the conclusion is that the wave function of the system, of identical particles, the wave function of a system of identical particles. Now we have considered only two particle system. You can generalize that into 3 particles or n particle system. There also you can do many exchanges. So consider all the aspects, you get the same result. The wave function of the system of identical particles is only two options, either symmetric either you can call it as totally symmetric or totally antisymmetric. Okay, so this is a very useful result. According to the principle of indistinguishability, we arrive at a very useful result. You consider a 2 particle system or a 3 particle system or an n particle system, any number of particles, you can apply this principle and you arrive at a result. The wave function of the system is either totally symmetric or totally antisymmetric. Okay. This idea actually is the starting point of statistical mechanics. That is what we discuss next: spins and statistics. Spins and statistics. Okay. We know that what is the idea of statistical mechanics. Statistical mechanics deals with the statistical mechanics deals with the overall behavior instead of individual particles. Okay, what is the collective property of the system? Overall behavior of system of particles. System of particles. Okay. Now you can see that I think already in statistical mechanics, your teacher maybe said all these things. Classically, particles are distinguishable, and that is the basis of classical statistical mechanics, or which is Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics or Boltzmann statistics. But in quantum mechanics, we have two divisions for statistical mechanics. From the beginning itself, according to the symmetric or antisymmetric wave function, they behave differently. Their behavior, overall behavior is different. Okay, so that from the beginning itself, classical mechanics have only one Boltzmann statistics, but quantum mechanics beginning itself divides into two according to this idea: symmetric wave function or antisymmetric wave function. Okay, so the particles with the, or we can say system of particles with the symmetric wave functions and antisymmetric wave functions. Symmetric wave function and antisymmetric wave function. The particles with the symmetric wave functions or system with the symmetric particles. System means particle, it can have many number of particles. So system which has symmetric wave function are known as bosons, or they obey Bose-Einstein statistics, BE statistics. I think everybody know who is Bose. Who was Bose? Bose is an Indian scientist, and his name is in front of Einstein. See, Einstein recognized only one Indian scientist, which is Bose. Okay, there are two Bose, J.C. Bose and S.N. Bose. Okay. Now, the system which obeys antisymmetric wave functions, they are known as fermions, and the statistics deals with the overall behavior of fermions is known as Fermi-Dirac statistics. These things are all known to you because Sudhir sir have already told all these things. So examples are photons obey B statistics, and electrons obey etc. Neutron, proton, etc. They obey FD statistics. Okay. Now you consider an atom. You can consider an atom as a system, or nucleus as a system. okay, or many number of particles as a system, many number of atoms. So, okay, if you consider the atom, what is the total? Actually, you can see that these electrons will have half integral spins, and photons, etc., those particles will have zero or integral spins. Okay. Now, if you consider the total, consider an atom in which there are many fermions. Which are they? In an atom, you consider suppose you consider a hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom consists of an electron and a proton. So there is a two particle system. So each one having spin half. Okay. So what is the total spin of the system? Total spin can be 1. Okay. Or 0. So hydrogen atom is it a boson or a fermion? Hydrogen atom is a boson because it has two particles, each one having half integral spins. So total will be 1. Okay, so that is a boson. But what is deuterium? Heavy hydrogen. One more nucleon will come. Okay, so there will be 3 particles. So that will be a deuterium will be a fermion. Similarly, you can consider all other atoms, helium, lithium, or all atoms. You add the all number of particles. Consider the electrons, protons, and the neutrons. All will have integral, half integral spins. So you sum all these their spins. What is the total spin? Accordingly, you can consider all the atoms as either a boson or as a fermion. Okay. So even molecules also you can consider it as bosons or fermions. You consider all the half integral spins, then you sum up to find the resultant spin. Okay. So now I will wind up this session.